point over the Montreal Expos, a record of 10-7. While out in the Western Division, the Cincinnati Reds are hanging tough in second place. You see there with a record of 13-8, just a half game behind the Los Angeles Dodgers. And hello again, everybody. I'm Keith Jackson. Welcome to another presentation of ABC's Monday Night Baseball from Cincinnati. Now the batting order for the Eastern Division leaders, the Philadelphia Phillies, Bake McBride in right field with a .232 average. Larry Boa, the Golden Glove at shortstop, a .276 batting average. Mike Schmidt, the big third baseman, hitting .336. He has 4 home runs so far. Greg Luzinski, the Bull, an even .300 hitter. He's in left field with 3 home runs. Richie Hefner at first base, 259 hitter right now, but he's stronger than that. Gary Maddox, the speedster in center field. He can fly. 311 hitters so far this year. And Tim McCarver back at the plate. Hasn't played that much. He is Steve Carlton's personal catcher. And Jim Morrison, a youngster at second base. Jim Morrison, a rookie, hitting .333. And, of course, Steve Carlton with a record of 1-3 pitching. Now setting the defense for the Cincinnati Reds as they go out, get ready to go to work in left field. You have George Foster, who hit 52 homers a year ago. A little bit slower start this year. Over in center field, one of the classic performers out there, Cesar Geronimo. Over in right field, again, a pair of legs that can move, Ken Griffey. Moving to the infield defensively for Cincinnati, there's Pete Rose standing down there with the Philadelphia hitting coach, Billy DeMars. Pete looking for 4 more hits to total 3,000. Davey Concepcion at shortstop. One of the great players in Major League Baseball right now. Many think he may be the best all-around fellow. Junior Kennedy is at second base, replacing Joe Morgan, who has a sore jammed wrist. At first base, you have Dan Dreesen. Back at the plate, you have the veteran and dependable Johnny Bench, who is catching the veteran Tom Seaver tonight. Tom Seaver 0-2 going into the month of May, making his 6th start of the season, looking for his first victory of the year. That is a new experience for him. The plate umpire has had his talk with everybody now, and we're ready to go. Doug Harvey going back to call the balls and strikes with Andy Olson at first, Jim Quick at second, Jerry Crawford at third, and the leadoff batter for the Phillies, Bake McBride, who has taken over in right field. And the first pitch of the ball game from Tom Seaver is a fastball that is high and wide. Temperature right at 50 degrees and going down. Pitch number 2 from Seaver is swung on and missed. And it's a cool night, sometimes an invigorating night for a pitcher.
And one of the big things right here watching Tom Seaver tonight, and Sparky Anderson said he can't see anything that he's really doing that wrong.
McBride just reaches out and strokes it to center field.
But there has been the one big thing that is not typical of Tom Seaver. He said he'll get ahead of hitters, but he cannot put them away. What he does, he'll lay a fastball, a slider that'll be up over the plate, and that's what we saw right there. And very quickly, Bake McBride, a clean base hit to center field.
When you give him a chance, though, Don, to sit back there and wait for number 1, there are very few hitters in the major leagues today that you're going to keep blowing away with just 1 pitch.
You can't throw just fastballs for strikes. You've got to hit some good locations sometime.
Larry Boa, 276 on the year, the fine shortstop for the Phillies with McBride on at first base, and Pete Rose halfway down the line at third looking for the bunt. Boa takes a pitch outside for ball 1. Tom Seaver, 32 years of age, 2-time Cy Young Award winner, goes to first base, and McBride goes back. Make McBride move over to the Phillies from the St. Louis Cardinals. And after a good start this year, figures he's going to play right field all year. And there's a strike, as Tom this time was in the zone at the knees.
Tom Seaver's the type of pitcher right now. Tom, of course, getting up in years, and it's the old saying. Everyone says, well, you're throwing just as hard. Maybe it's not getting there just as quick. But he's got to keep the ball down.
Again, they're holding McBride at first base, anticipating the sacrifice. Seaver in 1978 started first against Houston, no decision. Then no decision against San Francisco. Here's the pitch. And Boa swings and fouls it back to the screen, and Pete Rose backs up at third with 2 strikes. He took no decision in his 3rd outing against Houston, lost in San Francisco, though he pitched 7 innings, allowed only 2 hits, and then on the 26th of April. He pitched 4 innings and lost to the Los Angeles Dodgers. 1-2 pitch, and McBride's going, and Boa fouls it into the crowd. Back at third.
Tom Seaver this spring had a little leg problem with the left leg, and he kind of missed 2 weeks more or less down in Tampa, where the Cincinnati Reds have their training camp in the wintertime. And he just did not really come around. He's kind of been a little bit ouchy on that left leg. And one of the big things George Anderson says, if there's anything that I can pick apart, is that when he throws, he'll hit off a stiff left leg, and he'll almost get into a point to where he's recoiling.
Again, trying to hold McBride close. At 1-2, they figure he goes again. And they can run. Doesn't go, and Seave strikes out. Larry Boa looking. Coming to the plate, Mike Schmidt, who's hit 30 or more home runs in 4 consecutive seasons. But on a cold night against Tom Seaver, one might find some bees in the bat handle.
Well, the biggest thing that you have to
Put
think
some
about.
bees in the old bat handle when it's 90 degrees, Keith. He's struggling thus far this season. Of course, I haven't seen him yet because we haven't played in this division. But I've always answered the question, who is the best pitcher and who is the toughest pitcher on me as an individual, with the name Tom Seaver. And I'm sure everybody around is expecting Tom Seaver sooner or later to have a great game. You know he's not going to go undefeated the whole year. But we, the Phillies, are going to try and keep that string alive for him. The one he's got going, I guess, no victories. We're going to try and keep that alive for him tonight.
So pregame comments of the Philadelphia third baseman Mike Schmidt, who has hit 11 career home runs here at Riverfront Stadium. So, Don, he knows the range. Outside.
At that time, Johnny Bench trying to think along with Danny Ozark in pitching out. But the thing that you have to think about tonight, Keith, if you are a pitcher, sometimes you'll ask a plate umpire, especially Doug Harvey, one of the better umpires in all of baseball.
Swing, and McBride breaks into second base as Schmidt on the swing sort of fell across in front of Johnny Bench. Johnny didn't come out cleanly with it and did not risk the throw on a cold night.
Well, he gets a good break as Tom Seaver, one of the pitchers with a high leg kick, and Big McBride, he can run real well. Seaver, of course, blocked out a little bit at home plate by the swing of Mike Schmidt. But pitching, you've got to try and keep your hands warm. This will be the kind of night you'll have a tendency to have a slick baseball out there if you don't keep your hands warm.
1-1 pitch as Seaver comes off the rubber and Schmidt steps back away from the plate. It's power against power here. They figure Schmidt to pull the ball. The outfield respecting his power well back, and Drysdale is way off the line at first base, almost in the hole between first and second, as the Reds put a little bit of a shift on the power hitting third baseman. Now you see how far Danny is away from first base. 1-1 pitch to Schmidt. Strike 2. Tom looks quick tonight.
That was a good Seaver fastball right there. Well, you can see that statistic right there, 23-9 lifetime against Philadelphia. And he's beat them a few times when they have really come into their own.
1-2 to Schmidt. Strike 3 call. So Tom Seaver may have a little bit of a confidence builder going for him early. He has caught Boa and Schmidt looking for strikeouts.
Well, there's what I talked about just earlier. Instead of just throwing a strike, you've got to hit location, and he certainly did right there. That fastball over that outside corner.
Greg Luzinski at the plate, the Bull, even 300 on the year. High, ball 1. Luzinski lost some 22 pounds. He played at about 235, 240 a year ago, and he's now around 225. But he's a confounded square. You can't hardly tell that he's lost that much. And strong, and quiet, and a good guy. Still buying tickets for the young'uns in Philadelphia at Vet Stadium. Outside. Spent more than $20,000 out of his own pocket to provide tickets for underprivileged children to watch the Phillies play baseball. Second straight year that he's done it. 3 balls and no strikes with 2 out, and Bake McBride at second base in the top of the first inning from Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio. There's a strike.
Seaver will stay away from a lot of these power hitters, the Smiths, Luzinskis, and people like that. He'll come inside just enough, possibly in a situation, in a strikeout situation, or to keep him honest.
Breaking pitch is off the mark, and Luzinski walks to first base. So you have runners at first and second now with 2 out, and coming to the plate, Richie Hebner. Watch Richie Hebner now. As he comes up, he'll scratch out the chalk lines, and he'll lean down and brush the plate. Doug Harvey probably said to him, "I just did that." Richie came over to the Phillies from the Pirates. He's been very happy about that. Signed as a free agent after playing out his option in Pittsburgh. Lifetime average .278. The first baseman of the Phillies takes high up around the eyes for ball 1. McBride at second, Luzinski at first, and Richie Hebner, the son of a gravedigger, at the plate. Breaking pitch. Strike called. It's 1-1. You can see from those numbers, I think, that Seaver does have the faculty for bearing down when there's trouble behind him.
That separates the great pitchers from just major league pitchers.
Fouled away. 1 ball and 2 strikes, and that was Hebner's pitch. It was a fastball on the letters, and it slipped away from him.
You know what's really amazing when you look at these 2 ball clubs and you think about that statistic that I gave at the offset, Keith, where this Philadelphia ball club has not won here since August 26 of 1976. It's amazing.
That could get to be an emotional problem.
Boy.
Shot to right, base hit. McBride will turn at third. Here's the throw in, cut off by Dreesen to the plate, not nearly in time. Phillies get the lead 1-0. Luzinski stops at second, and on at first, Richie Hebner with a solid line single that produced the first run.
Now watch the location of this pitch right here, because you just talked about Hebner getting a pitch up and fouling it back. That pitch was up for Tom Seaver. That is a high National League strike right there, about belt high over the plate, and he hit a rocket to right field. I thought for a moment at Ken Griffey in right, he had a shot at McBride coming to the plate, but McBake, when he turned that corner, he just took a look over that left shoulder and put on a little acceleration and scored easily.
Gary Maddox, center fielder, was born in Cincinnati. Hits it up the middle. Concepcion can't flag it. Luzinski will turn at third. Geronimo's throw comes wide of the mark, and Luzinski scores, and the Phillies lead 2-0. Seaver now. Touch for 3 hits, 2 runs, plus a walk. With 2 out, coming to the plate, Tim McCarver.
You can see Tom Seaver just standing, looking down at the mound, trying to reach back, and all of the memories, every little bit of pitching strategy that he has done, trying to figure out exactly what he is doing wrong. That time, he got the breaking pitch over the plate.
McCarver stands in with a .400 average. That's a little misleading. He's only been to the plate 9 times, and Seaver finds the strike zone against this veteran from Memphis, Tennessee. Strike 1. 2 out, 2 on, 2-0 Philadelphia. Swing and a miss, 2 strikes. I suppose when you're a prideful athlete like a Seaver is, you probably worry a little too much sometimes. Will stop you from being the same loose and easy kind of workman that you normally are. Just missed with that one. It's 1-2.
Well, Tom takes a great deal of pride in his work. He is a perfectionist. And when you do get off to a bad start like that, you've got to really start thinking a little bit.
2-2. That one was well off the mark. Out at second base, Richie Hebner. Over at first base, Gary Maddox. 2 runs are in. 2-2 pitch to McCarver. Moved him off the plate. And it's full at 3-2. Once again, he was out in front of the hitter. Couldn't put him away.
And that's been the story of Tom Seaver so far this year.
So far, Tom has walked 12 base runners in his 6 starts. Sparky Lyle watching from the dugout. Excuse me, Sparky Lyle. Sparky Anderson. Runners go. Pitch misses. Low, and Seaver has walked his second man in the first inning. The bases are loaded with 2 out. And here is Jim Morrison coming to the plate. McBride stroked a single up the middle. Boa and Schmidt were out looking at third strikes. Luzinski walked. Hebner has singled. Maddox has singled. McCarver has walked. 2 runs are in. Here is Morrison, called up last Saturday from Oklahoma City, replacing Ted Sizemore, who fractured bones in his left hand on Friday night when he slid into San Diego's Gene Richards. Ball 1 to Morrison. Up on the right side, and it's going to carry in the crowd out of play.
But Keith, here's a young man that has been a third baseman all of his life. He's a converted third baseman. They move him to second base, and you've got to stop and think. I was talking to Tony Taylor down on the bench before the game. Tony, of course, a great ball player in his time, and now a coach for the Phillies. Said, with Schmidt there, you got to move around.
1-1, and Seaver misses outside and high with it to make it 2-1 with the bases full and 2 out. And Tom clearly struggling. Popped up foul back here, out of play. Before the ball game, we talked some with Tom Seaver about the start of '78. We'll give you some of those comments at the end of this inning. It's now full count, 3-2 with the bases full.
Just watching Tom Seaver the first time that I've had a chance to watch him this year, Keith, it just looks like it's mechanics to me.
Runners move up, and Seaver is way wide of the plate to force in a run with the walk to Jim Morrison. It's 3-0 Philadelphia. And Steve Carlton will come to the plate with 2 out and the bases still loaded.
Now there you see George Anderson. He's a little bit concerned, trying to figure out an answer to the Tom Seaver puzzle. Johnny Bench goes out as the first baseman Dan Driessen comes in, but just watching. There's Dale Murray going to throw now for Cincinnati down the bullpen, going to get loose. But watching Tom Seaver, it has been mechanical. One time he's just different releases on every pitch.
3-0 Philadelphia. Bases still loaded, and Steve Carlton, who is 3 for 9 at the plate, swings and misses for strike 1.
Don't count this big guy out either, because he can swing the bat, Keith. Look at that stat right there. That's not bad for a pitcher.
Fouled away into the Philadelphia dugout for strike 2. But then Tom Seaver has been here before, hasn't he? And lost the runners, or the batters. Hit on the ground to the right side, into right field for a base hit. That should score 1, if not 2. Griffith's throw comes across to Rose at third. 2 more runs gallop in. And the Phillies now very close to putting this one in the bag early. Peppering Tom Seaver. That's a base hit for Carlton. That's 4 hits, 2 walks.
Well, there's an artificial turf base hit. I got to believe that Junior Kennedy, the second baseman, he was playing way over towards the bag at second base. You might do that to an ordinary type hitting pitcher. But Carlton, who possesses good power along with being a pretty good hitter, he hit that ball to the hole, and you could have driven all kinds of cars that you could find through that hole.
Back to the top of the order, Bake McBride, who scored the opening run after a single. So up for the second time here in the top of the first inning, McBride takes low for ball 1. 5 runs in on 4 hits and 3 bases on balls. Low, ball 2. I'm a little surprised that Sparky Anderson has not appeared out of the dugout, but he knows full well too he's got to make every possible effort to let Tom Seaver get his confidence. Loose ball out of the bullpen, and time call for that.
Keith, you talked about that temperature dropping, and it is certainly doing that here at Riverfront Stadium. It's going to take just a little while for Dale Murray, and I've been watching Murray down there. He is not throwing well enough yet to come in a ball game.
Fouled off. 2 balls, 1 strike, 2 out, 2 on, 5 runs in. Base runner over at third base in Morrison with Steve Carlton at first base. Big Steve with 2 ribbies in the first inning. McBride checks on it. It's inside. I think the look on Tom Seaver's face tells you.
It certainly does.
High pop, no play, I don't think. Rose will go to the Philadelphia dugout. Oh, he got it inside the dugout. So Pete Rose goes in the Philly dugout to get the 3rd out of the inning, but it was a big inning as the Phillies scored 5 and lead 5-0. As I said prior to the game, we talked with Tom Seaver about some of his struggles in '78 about going 0 for April. Some pregame comments of Tom Seaver, who took his lumps. Round of applause building along the Ohio River, though, for this man, Pete Rose, who's trying to catch Roberto Clemente. When Pete Rose gets hit number 3,000, that will tie him with Bob Clemente.
Well, Keith, I know a lot of the people across the country watch the game on Saturday, and there's the defensive alignment for the Philadelphia Phillies. Luzinski in left with Maddox in center, McBride in right, with Schmidt, Boehm, Morrison, and Hebner from third to first on the infield, and the battery of McCarver and Carlton. But it was the New York Mets who jumped off to a 4-0 lead, and all of a sudden the big red machine says, okay, that'll be enough of that stuff. Final score, Cincinnati 14 and New York 7, and that's when this man at bat had his big day. 3 home runs the first time ever in his lifetime.
All right, Steve Carlton with a record of 1-3 in 4 starts. He beat St. Louis. He lost to the Cardinals, to Montreal, and Chicago, and it's ball 1 to Pete Rose. There's a strike ball by Doug Harvey. Here's another set of numbers that's very interesting. In 9 times they have opposed each other. Rose hits it on the ground. Come out Schmidt at third. And 1 chance is gone for Pete Rose tonight as he's thrown out by Schmidt. Tom Seaver and Steve Carlton have opposed each other 9 times. 1 no decision contest. The other 8 decisions all went to Seaver. Batter, Ken Griffey with George Foster on deck. Griffey takes a strike. Ken Griffey with a .337 start coming off the month of April. 8 runs batted in. Strike 2.
Now there's 2 good Steve Carlton fastballs right there. Steve has had problems control of his breaking pitches.
High on 0-2, so it's 1-2. There's the Cincinnati batting order. Rose leading with Griffey, Foster, Johnny Bench, Dave Concepcion, Dreesen, Kennedy, Geronimo, and Seaver to follow in that order. It is now 2-2 to Griffey.
They want an appeal call from the third base umpire, Jerry Crawford, and he says, no, sir. Doug Harvey telling Timmy McCarver, I could have told you that.
That one bounces, and it's full at 3-2, and to continue on the point you were discussing about the breaking pitch not being in the strike zone, Carlton is not quite the power pitcher he might have been 2 years ago. He's gone to a greater assortment of pitches, but unless you can get the deuce in there, and when you need to go to the fastball, such as he did there on a full count of 3-2, he lost his man.
Well, when he throws the slider, and he can get the slider over in a good location, he can just about, well, doesn't have to worry too much about the curveball because he's got still a good enough fastball. But when he doesn't get the slider over along with the curveball, then he's in a little bit of trouble. The only time that his fastball is going to move on you is that's when he keeps the fastball up. It'll kind of ride a little bit.
George Foster is at the plate now with Griffey on first base. Griffey has great speed. Breaking pitch is in. Strike one.
You can see McCarver in his sequence of pitches, the way he's calling. He's trying to establish a little bit of a good feeling in the mind of Carlton. He's given him all the chance to throw that breaking pitch if he can.
Foster hits it up the middle. Boa flags it down. Flips over to Morrison. One back to first. Double play. The inning is over. Bang, bang, like that. So the Cincinnati Reds are turned away in the bottom of the first inning after 1. Philadelphia 5, Reds nothing. Tom Seaver has come to the mound for the top of the second inning, down 5-0. And prior to the game, I talked with him about the possibility of any physical problems with him.
Everything's fine as physically and that I've had a couple of mental concentration right in the middle of a game for some reason. Just my mind goes south and. My wife's grandfather had a saying for it, but I can't say it on TV.
Well, he was in good humor. He was loose and easy, as you could tell, prior to the game. And he was within a couple of pitches of being out of the first inning without any great deal of damage. Throwing 43 pitches in the top of the first inning. It's a good way to get warm, but not a good way to stay out of trouble. Close play at first, dropped the ball. Greason picked it up and flipped it over to Seaver, and Tom dropped it.
Well, Seaver a little bit hesitant, and on this carpet, this can be a tough play right here. You see Tommy now, he can't get the ball. He goes to the bag. It'll be an error, I believe, on Seaver because they had called him out, and then Tom could not hold on to the ball.
And Larry Boa, of course, has good speed. Mike Schmidt is the batter now with Luzinski into the on-deck circle. Once again, Seaver is in a bit of trouble. Boa has stolen 3 bases, been caught 1 time. Seaver's fastball is on the outside corner for strike 1 to Mike Schmidt, who struck out looking in the first inning. You don't see that many squibbers like that on this artificial surface. And that one wouldn't have worked either if Seaver hadn't dropped it. Boa averaging 31 stolen bases over the last 4 seasons for Philadelphia, so he has the potential of running. And Schmidt now is watching Seaver, and he's down 0-2.
Mike Schmidt saying to him, why me? Why hit all the good spots on me?
That's right. That's it. That one's outside. Mike with 16 runs batted in 1978. Concentration. Just as much a part of this game as anything else as Boa takes off. Pitches, throws on a bounce. It's into center field. And Boa is up going to third as Geronimo retrieves.
Well, that's the second time that Mike Schmidt has got in front of Johnny Bench. That time they actually bumped at home plate, and you can see Bench's throw going by the second baseman Junior Kennedy, and that'll be the second Cincinnati error here in the second inning. And on the play, while Boa stands at third.
And nobody out. And Muscle at the plate, and Schmidt with Luzinski to follow.
Look at Schmidt, and you can see right there. You can see Schmidt and Bench actually bumping at home plate.
So the 6th run for Philadelphia has become an imminent probability right here with nobody out and Boa at third. Foul, and Boa was almost in the hospital. as Schmidt bounced a bullet right past his ear. Count is 2-2.
Now, these are the kind of situations that managers just dread when you have to bring the infield in on the artificial surface.
Rose even with the bag at third. Driessen at first. And the pitch is high to Schmidt. 3 balls, 2 strikes. You see Rose in even with the bag. Concepcion in. Morrison is in along with Driessen. 3-2 pitch. Outside, ball 4. Seaver in trouble. This telecast presented by authority of Major League Baseball, intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Major League Baseball is prohibited. As Greg Luzinski comes to the plate. And Seaver's on the outside corner for strike 1. Murray has gone back to the bullpen now for Cincinnati. Hebner to the on-deck circle. Outside, way off the mark. 1-1. Is the front leg stiff tonight as he comes down on it? Don, you've been watching him. Is he stiff when he comes down? It didn't look like it there.
It wasn't too bad right there, but what Tom has been doing most of the night, he has not thrown too many pitches the same way. And that's what I say. Mechanically, right now, just looking at Tom Seaver, and you heard Tom say it himself, there's something wrong.
Here's a foul. 2-2 the count on Luzinski. Boa at third, got on base as a result of Seaver's error. Moved around as the throw got away into center field, and Sparky Anderson concerned. High pop, foul, out of play. Count holds 2-2.
There you get a good look at Tom Seaver, that high leg kick. And there's the Seaver drive. Look at that right knee, but now there's the recoil. See him hit against that stiff left leg, then bouncing up in the air.
Way outside. 3-2. He threw 43 pitches in the top of the first inning. The Phillies scored 5 times. Nobody out. Runner's edge, 2 of them. Boa at third. Schmidt at first. Schmidt going to second. Throw through, not in time. Stolen base for Mike Schmidt. Boa holding at third. Luzinski looking, striking out. Dale Murray in the pen. He's been pitching well this year for him.
Dale has got good stuff coming over from the Montreal Expos.
They will walk Hebner to load the bases with 1 out. That gives them a play at any base, and will bring up, with the bases loaded, Gary Maddox.
Well, Keith, right in here lies the story. Tom Seaver, his 5th walk of the night. We're just 1 out in the top half of the 2nd inning. And right away, anybody that knows Tom Seaver, you say, uh-oh, something is wrong. And there is something definitely wrong as far as Tom Seaver and the Cincinnati Reds are concerned. But it's something, as long as you pitch, as long as you play this game, and I've said it so many times, that every spring when you go down to camp, you've got to learn to pitch all over again. Get back in that groove, get back in that rhythm. And of course, you know yourself, you know that so well. You've been as good a golfer you are. Why, you got to go out and you got to, every time is a new day.
61 pitches for Tom Seaver so far in the ball game. Foul by Maddox. I'm reminded that Eric Rasmussen beat the Dodgers the other night in St. Louis 1-0, and in the whole ball game threw only 67 pitches.
Well, that was amazing.
It was, wasn't it? Pretty aggressive bunch of hitters to get out on 67 pitches. Strike 1 pitch to Maddox with the bases loaded. Strike 2. Tim McCarver waiting.
The only people that don't like that, Keith, are the concession people.
That's right. 2-strike pitch. Hit on the ground to right field. That'll be in there for a base hit. Here comes Boa to score. Here comes Schmidt to the plate. He's out. hit, thrown out at the plate as Griffey came in on the run throwing and got his man.
Well, it was a good speed of Griffey in right field. You see how hard he charges at, and he comes up throwing, and he throws a strike to Johnny Bench. That's how fast that ball gets out on that artificial carpet. You see Bench just catching him as he goes by. Schmidt thinks that he misses him, and Bench goes back at him again, but he has already been called out.
Batter now is Tim McCarver with 2 out and 2 on. And the pitch is high. Take another look. You may see Schmidt go well off the baseline. You see right there that Doug Harvey's going to call it right there. That's close. I don't know if he's out of the baseline or not, but Harvey called him quick. Letters, strike, 1-1. Maddox at first with 2 out. He figures to go at 1-1. If you get a 2-1, you can just hang your head on it. Ebner at third. (6-0) Philadelphia. Dale Murray in the pen back at Tom Seaver. There goes Maddox. Bench bluffs and then chases the base runner back to third to Ebner.
Well, that is the 3rd Philadelphia stolen base here in the early goings. Seaver, throughout his career, has never had the ability to hold a runner on base. He's always used that high leg kick. And, of course, when you have somebody with speed at first base, you just may as well turn around and watch him at second base.
2-1 pitch coming to McCarver. Jammed him inside. Day for both these teams tomorrow. They will play on Wednesday here, and then the Phillies will move on. 3-1 to McCarver. It's too high, ball 4. So the bases are again loaded with 2 out, and the batter will be Jim Morrison, the second baseman, who walked back in the first inning.
Keith, I got to be honest with you. I have never seen Tom Seaver pitch this way.
Ball is hit deep, left center field. Geronimo goes back to the track, makes the catch. The inning is over. Ball was well hit, but the wind caught it and held it up. So Philadelphia gets 1 more to lead after 1.5, 6-0. We go to the bottom of the second inning now with Philadelphia leading 6-0 over Cincinnati. 17 Phillies have been to the plate already. Only 3 Cincinnati Reds. We'll go to Johnny Bench, Dave Concepcion, and Dan Dreesen with Junior Kennedy, the 4th man. Joe Morgan is not in the lineup, having jammed a wrist, diving for a ball, and he's sitting out the cold night. John Bench at .299 with 12 runs batted in. Steve Carlton, who has never beaten Tom Seaver. And the Phillies, who have gone for a long drought here at Riverfront Stadium, trying to break that spell tonight as Carlton got the curveball in for a strike, then whistles a fastball by John, and he's got him 0-2. But Johnny Bench twice in his career has hit 3 home runs in a game off Steve Carlton. 1970, again in 1973, and there's a high pop-up out of play. Two-strike pitch to the Cincinnati catcher is low and away, ball 1. The outfield swung around to the left. The hole for John down the right field line and in almost straightaway center. Low, ball 2.
That is quite a defensive alignment. I was watching that and watching how far Gary Maddox is over in left center field. Bench hits a line drive and hits it hard right over second base. That'll go all the way to the wall,
which is 404 feet away. There's the hole. That's foul. The The left fielder, Luzinski, is rather tight down the left field line toward the corner. Maddox in left center. Big hole out there in center. And then the whole right side is open. See Luzinski, how close he is to the line. Bench hits it toward third. Big bounce for Mike Schmidt. 1 out. Announced today that Muhammad Ali and Leon Spinks will get together September 15. September 15. Leon Spinks gives Muhammad Ali the rematch in a heavyweight title match. And guess what? You're going to see it live. That's right, live and exclusively here on ABC. Well, just mark that day right now. That's going to be worth seeing. Batter is Dave Concepcion. Two strikes on Dave Concepcion. Carlton looking loose and easy, comes inside. 1-2. Might also add that the other version of the heavyweight championship between Larry Holmes and there's a high fly ball hit out to right. McBride fades over, makes the catch, and Concepcion's gone. Will be seen. Ken Norton and Holmes will be up on June 9, I believe the date. That too here on ABC. The World Boxing Council title. Dan Dreesen comes to the plate now with a .317 average. So far, this heavyweight match in the National League is lopsided. Philadelphia leading 6-0. Cincinnati at bat, bottom of the second inning, and it's ball 1 to Dreesen.
Well, you've got to say the least that Philadelphia has the Reds reeling.
Breaking pitch is in. 1-1. Side wheeled in, and he pulls it sharp to the right field for a base hit.
You see that happen so many times. Guys that are not used to throwing from out on the side, all of a sudden, why they said, okay, now I'll trick him here. As you look at some of the scores, Kansas City 4-1 over the Yankees. Scoreless Baltimore, Boston in the third. But I'll trick him right here. And then they drop from the side, and they lay it right here for him.
Fouled away by Junior Kennedy, who's 0 for 13 so far in the 78 season. Other scores out of the National League. There's the deuce. Sharp breaking curve. Kennedy swings and misses. It's that pitch that sends so many folks back to the next level. Strike called as he hit the outside corner with a fastball. Cincinnati gets the first base run of the night. Cannot move him around. And after 2, it is 6-0 Phillies. Tom Seaver is back on the mound, having thrown 43 pitches in the first inning, 27 pitches in the second inning, and that's 70. He's down 6-0. Obvious question, Don Drysdale, why is he still out there?
Well, I got to believe right here that George Anderson is trying to think, first of all, if we don't score any runs, we're not going to beat Carlton or the Phillies anyway. And second of all, if I can put Tom back out there, something might click. He might find himself. And now, okay, maybe I'll sacrifice a little something here, but hopefully Seaver will find an answer.
Carlton at the plate is 2 for 2 and 2 runs batted in as the Philadelphia pitcher lines his second solid single to right field. He's almost as good a hitter as you were.
I told you, Steve, he swings a bat. He goes up there and he will wail away. He'll hit the long ball for you at times, too. As we saw before, you saw that percentage that he had with men in scoring position or on base percentage, and it was a good one.
Tony Taylor is a name. He is the coach at first, and Billy DeMar is at third, and Bake McBride, the top of the order, up for the third time tonight. He singled, stolen a base, scored a run, and fouled out to end the first inning. The 10th man to come to the plate in the first. This is fouled to the third base side, out of play.
Keith, these Philadelphia Phillies, this ball club is primarily the same ball club that they had last year. I talked to Danny Ozark this past winter in Philadelphia. He said they're still going to try and look for a little more pitching if they could. But, of course, that's a story in every organization in baseball today. But they've got a good, solid ball club.
That's inside. 1-1, and there's Denny, with whom you worked in the Dodger organization.
That's right. And Richie Ashburn said he's the classic manager for this ball club. He says, we've got a bunch of characters over there, and Danny just doesn't let it rile him.
There's a strike. It's 1-2. Jim Rice has just hit a 2-run home run to send the Red Sox out in front 3-0 over Baltimore in the 3rd inning. Unless Baltimore's pitching was better than it was last Monday night, Boston might score 40. Fouled away. Porter has hit a home run for Kansas City in that 4-1 edge they have over New York, with Splittorff going for his 5th win against Beatty for New York. American League scorers. Seaver comes to the plate. McBride hits it up the alley and it'll go to the wall. Bouncing around at 375 feet. Geronimo overruns it. Carlton turns 3rd. The throw to the plate, no throw. Concepcion, well out in left field, did not bring it to the plate. Carlton scores from first base, and it is 7-0 Philadelphia. It is a double for Vic McBride.
Well, you look at it again. Watch the location of this pitch. Right there. That is too high for Tom Seaver. That is not a good National League strike. That ball up the alley, nobody could get that one. Just short hopped the wall at that 375 marker. And then as they overran it, why, Billy DeMars, he kept Big Steve Carlton right on coming. And we get some more action out in the Cincinnati bullpen as Tom Seaver gropes for an answer. And here comes George Anderson.
Sparky Anderson making his first appearance out of the dugout tonight, and he gets a roar of applause from the crowd gathered here at Riverfront Stadium with Dale Murray, who's been up twice in the bullpen, and Murray will come on. And Tom Seaver holds the glove out with the ball in it and leaves the mound. Tonight's pitchers, you see the story on them as Tom is just overwhelmed by the circumstances. Because I don't think anybody in the world could have foreseen this kind of a start for him. No way. Here's Dale Murray, who saved 2, who's won 1, earned an average 3.52. Not terribly effective a year ago, but tonight he's making his 10th appearance of the season. He's pitched 23 1/3 innings, and he works right now to Larry Boa with Vic McBride on second base behind him. The score is 7-0 Philadelphia. Murray's first pitch is inside for ball 1. Nobody out. The Cincinnati pitching, the 5 starters for Cincinnati have totaled 123 plus innings now. The 5 relief pitchers for Cincinnati, not including the work of Murray here, that pitch is high, have worked 73 2/3 innings. So those 2 sets of numbers, I think, really tell you something about the problems that Sparky has with his pitching corps here in Cincinnati.
Well, it's not a secret, Keith. Everybody in baseball, when you talk about the Cincinnati Reds, the one suspect pot is the pitching staff.
Boa hits a fly ball to short left to George Foster. George comes way in to make the catch. And the base runner, McBride, holds at second base. That's 1 out. And the batter now will be Mike Schmidt, who has struck out looking, walked, stolen a base, and then been thrown out at the plate by Ken Griffey. 1978 spring training. I remember that Larry Shepard said it looked like the 4-man rotation coming into the start of the year would be Seaver, Bonham, Moscow, Norman. Well, Seaver's in all sorts of difficulty. Bonham has a sore shoulder that he hurt pitching 2 weeks ago against the Los Angeles Dodgers, and he still has no better than 50% velocity and can't throw the curveball at all. Pitch is 1-1 now to Schmidt, and Moscow's at Indianapolis. So Tom will go to the clubhouse, try to think this thing out. What else you going to do?
That's all you can do, Keith.
Outside and low. It's 2-1 now to Schmidt with Lazinski on deck.
I think it becomes a little more exasperating when it happens to such a veteran pitcher as a Tom Seaver.
2-1 pitch, and it's way outside. 3-1.
You've had success through the years. You've had a lot of fun days. You've got rattled around a little bit every now and then, but still, you're going to win more than you lose. And all of a sudden now, you reach back into that memory bank and try and figure out, where in the world have I gone wrong? What am I doing?
McBride off second. 3-1 to Schmidt. Ball 4. So Dale Murray loses Schmidt, trying to pitch him fine. And that brings up Luzinski with Schmidt on first and McBride on second in a 7-0 ball game. That is the 7th walk issued in the game. 6 by Seaver, now 1 by Murray.
Now you put 7 walks with 7 base hits, and you see why the score is 7-0 Philadelphia.
Roll foul in and off the front of the facade facing the infield on the Cincinnati side. Tom Seaver started. The Phillies jumped on him for 5 runs in the first inning. Came back with single runs in the second and 1 more here in the third. And that's up the middle. Fielded by Murray in the pit of his stomach. Throws to first and gets Luzinski. And now Murray's got to examine himself and see whether or not there is a hole at the midsection.
He's got 1, but there might be 2.
What's the shot?
That ball is in like a rocket.
Just above the belt buckle. Well, I'll tell you this, that Dale Murray's in shape to take a shot like that. And the trainer comes in a hurry to the mound. You see the big right-handed grin, and he's all right. I'm hard as a rock.
Yeah, that big old Texan, he's from Cuero, Texas. He's quite a guy.
Larry Starr, the trainer, satisfied he's all right. He goes back off the mound now, and they're going to let him have a chance to throw a couple of times just to see if he's all right. There's plenty of heat on that one. Richie Hebner will be the batter. Base runners moved up on the play at first base. McBride over to third. Mike Schmidt up at second. There's McBride and Mike.
Those are the kind of balls the trainer will come out and he'll say, well, now tell me, how do you feel? You don't say anything. Well, talk to me. You say, I can't.
That's right. I've got to win. All right, Rich up there now. Walk and a single, and he takes a strike from Murray. Two out, 2 on. In the top of the 3rd inning. Just high.
Well, you know, without belaboring on the Tom Seaver thing, I can sympathize with Tom. I can think back of when the Dodgers moved from Brooklyn back to California. And I started off that year. I'd won 17 the year before in Ebbets Field, and started off that year I was 0-6.
Outside, 2-1.
And boy, I'll tell you, it is no fun whatsoever. All kinds of people are trying to help, but there's only one man that can turn loose of that ball out there, and that's you. And you really do some soul searching, believe me. And I can really sympathize with Tommy Seaver right now. He's too good a pitcher, and I'm sure that he'll come around.
2-1. High, 3-1 to Richie Hebner. Well, I think the one thing that really starts to bite at you is you start doubting.
That's right. If you ever doubt, why, watch out.
Up above Riverfront Stadium, the wind is brisk, and on the playing surface, not much. Chilly night, though. Temperature, I'm sure, down middle 40s now on the playing field. 3-1 pitch. Strike, 3-2. Full count coming to Hebner. Got it. That's the 3rd strikeout looking tonight by a Philadelphia hitter after 2.5, 7-0 Phillies.
Yes, because of all the goals all the achievements I've got in baseball. I never did anything here in Cincinnati with the exception of hit number 2,500 off at Bruce Keeson, and that was the last at bat before we went on a road trip. I've got a couple 200 hit season hit balls here, but 2,000 or 1,500 or my anything else like that has always been on the road. So these people have treated me like the king here in Cincinnati for the last 15 years, and I know a lot of them are interested in me getting my 3,000 hit here in Cincinnati. And whatever Sparky, you know, my belief, you know, my feelings towards Sparky is I'd walk through hell in a gasoline suit if he asked me to. That's the respect that I have for Sparky. I think he's the greatest.
Comments of Pete Rose relative to hit number 3,000. He has just grounded out. He's 0 for 2 in tonight's ball game. So after 3, it's 7-0 Phillies. We'll go to the top of the 4th inning here at Riverfront Stadium in Cincinnati with Gary Maddox, Tim McCarver, and Jim Morrison. And the Phillies in a laugher right now. Unless the Reds can stir up a storm and get a little thunder and lightning, get back into the ball game. They shelled Tom Seaver. He pitched 2 innings plus, charged with 7 runs, 7 hits. He struck out 2 and he walked 6. 6 of the 7 runs were earned. Or I guess the 7th would have been earned because it was Seaver's error that kept him alive, wouldn't it? Gary Maddox, the center fielder, 2 singles and a stolen base and a run scored. It's hit on the ground. The second baseman, Kennedy, throws him out. Again, in case you were a little late joining us, Joe Morgan is not in the Cincinnati lineup. He has a sore wrist. He jammed it, diving for a ball. So he will sit out tonight. That gives him 2 days of rest. He should be ready to come back against the Phillies on Wednesday night. With 1 out and nobody on, here is Tim McCarver. And a breaking pitch from Murray misses. Tim McCarver, native son of Memphis, Tennessee, lives there and is going down to Memphis tomorrow night, where they're going to name a stadium in his name. Tim McCarver Stadium, the home of the Memphis Chicks of the AA Southern Association. Not a memorial stadium yet. Tim, I asked him about that. He said, well, they could name it in behalf of my arm if they'd like. Pitch is inside. You saw the Yankees have now moved to a 4-4 tie with Kansas City. George Brett. They had thought that George might have a separated shoulder. He's still in a hospital in Kansas City. General Manager Joe Burke was telling us today. Pitch is high. Very painful, but no separation and no break in the shoulder. They don't know exactly how long George is going to be laid up, but they do not plan until they get further medical advice as to whether or not he will be put on the disabled list.
That's got to be a blow to them.
They're very lucky they got Jerry Terrell, though, to step in and do the work for him at third base. Murray misses with McCarver and walks in. So that is the second walk issued by Dale Murray since he relieved Tom Seaver. Mark Fidrich of the Detroit Tigers went on the 21-day disabled list today with tendonitis in his pitching shoulder. He, too, frustrated by physical ailments. Jim Morrison at the plate now has walked and hit a fly ball to center field. Second baseman playing instead of Teddy Sizemore, who has a couple of broken bones in his hand. There's a breaking pitch for a strike. Cincinnati at home, this being their 10th home date, averaging 27,632 at home. So that kind of a pace could get him around that 2 million mark again. Swing and a miss. It's 2 strikes on Morrison. Both these ball clubs going over the 2 million mark in this couple of years. There was a time when 2 million attendance was big news, but not with the big spacious ballparks they have anymore. Fouled at the plate. Count holds at 2. Strikes. 1 out. And McCarver at first base. And Tim is not a threat to run.
On this picture right here, I like to watch Dan Dreesen, how when he plays behind, where he puts his glove, how he holds him on. Take a peek at that.
That pitch is high. Of course, don't you have to take into some consideration the fact that it's McCarver over there at first base?
He stays behind. He'll play behind. He'll just stick the glove up over the left shoulder of McCarver.
Swing and a miss by Morrison, and he's gone. That's 2 down. And here comes the slugger. Steve Carlton, 2 for 2 and 2 runs batted in. He has also scored a run.
Now there you see McCarver and Drysdale at first base. He takes the lead. Now he'll just stick the glove up over that left shoulder. Right there.
With 2 out, McCarver off first. The pitch blocked at the plate by Johnny Bench. Good as anybody handling that kind of a play at the plate.
Well, that's what the catchers will all say. Just keep the ball in front of you. And you watch them in spring training and things like that, and they'll have guys down, they put on all the gear, and they'll just throw bouncing balls at them. And it's not the easiest
to keep their eyes open.
That's right. You learn how to keep it in front of you. Look at that.
Through the hole, left field. Carlton is 3 for 3. Well, he is having a harvest in Cincinnati's Riverfront Stadium tonight. Never beaten Tom Seaver. 1976, the last time that Philadelphia won a ball game in this ballpark. They're sitting on a 7-0 lead as Carlton's got a 1-hitter going, and he's 3 for 3. Here's Bake McBride, the top of the order.
And something a little unusual as Doug Harvey asked Steve Carlton if he wants a jacket, and Steve said, "Nah, leave it back there."
Bake McBride takes a strike on the inside corner. Didn't like it either. Murray nibbled the corner with a slider. Been working on a forkball this spring. I don't know how much he's used it yet, but he's still fiddling around with it. That's pulled to Drysdale. Danny will do it himself, and the inning is over. And so, for the first time in the ball game, the Phillies are turned away without a run after 3.5, 7-0 Philadelphia. To the top of the 5th inning, here's Don Drysdale now, as the Phillies will send up Larry Boa, Mike Schmidt, and Greg Luzinski to face Dale Murray.
All right, Keith, as Boa stands in, he is 0 for 3. He was caught looking his first time at bat, was on an error by Tom Seaver. In the 2nd inning, he eventually came around to score, and he flied to left. There's Concepcion on a couple of hops, and that will take care of Larry Boa. Out number 1 in the Philadelphia 5th. Phillies on top, 7-0. 7 runs, 8 hits, no errors for Philadelphia. No runs on a hit and 2 errors for Cincinnati. Here's Mike Schmidt. He is 0 for 1. Has struck out and walked twice. Dale Murray, second Cincinnati pitcher out of Cuervo, Texas. He throws a heavy ball. Keeps it down. It sinks well. Starting out in the Montreal organization. 1-1 to Schmidt. The left side of the infield, they will play Mike to pull. Even Junior Kennedy, the second baseman, over towards the bag at second base. The outfield about straight away. There you see Rose, Concepcion, Kennedy over, Drysdale way off the line at first. Three and 1. And the batting leaders in the National League, Jeff Burroughs of the Braves leading it all at 394. Rick Monday at 353. Dusty Baker at 351. Parker of the Pirates at 343. That's outside. Mike Schmidt walks for the 3rd time tonight. Now this program is being brought to you as an exclusive presentation of ABC Sports. Now let's pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
KETV Channel 7, Omaha.
Here's Greg Luzinski, who is 0 for 2 tonight. They'll keep Schmidt close. He has 1 stolen base tonight. The Phillies have stolen 3. McBride has 1, Schmidt has 1, and Maddox has 1. 1 ball and no strikes to Luzinski starting tonight's game at an even 300, 3 home runs and 8 RBIs. be a base hit as Griffey comes on in a hurry. Schmidt a wide turn. They throw behind him. And did they get him? No.
Almost got him.
Just about. Davy Concepcion. You see Schmidt going around the bag, and he had ideas of going to third. He took that quick peek, and now he realizes, nope, I can't make it. And all of a sudden, Griffey comes throwing behind, and that throw been on the bag. They had a shot at him. Now here's Richie Hebner with runners at first and second, one out. Hebner is 1 for 2. He singled and scored in the first. He's caught looking in the second, and he bounced back to the pitcher in the third. That is not a Richie Hebner swing. Hebner might be the only player to play in games with 2 players that are getting their 3,000th hit. The other, of course, alongside of Pete Rose, the late and great Roberto Clemente. Two. Hebner starting tonight at 259 with a home run and 5 RBIs. Cincinnati pitching tonight. They have 9 walks to go along with 9 hits. And if you say, how can they do that? Well, they trail by 7. It is 7-0 Philadelphia. That's going to be a base hit and might score another run. Here comes Schmidt to throw to the plate. They got a shot. A little late. It goes by. And going to third is Lazinski. Backed up by Murray. To second base is Hebner. And it is 8-0 Philadelphia. Now there's a case where if you're a pitcher on the artificial turf, you cannot be as close to the catcher as Dale Murray was. You've got to get way back. That ball scooting by Johnny Bench.
If the throw had been directly on target, they would have had a play on him, but the throw was to third base side of home plate.
There
and
you see
Murray coming out him back there.
He was right on top of John, and that ball scooted by him. There was no error. The runner's advancing on the throw. Here's Gary Maddox, 2 for 3 tonight. One out. The infield will stay back a little bit. They do not have a lot of speed at third base, and Lazinski.
I think they've changed the scoring on the play because there's an extra error hanging up there on the
well, they've got 3 on the scoreboard. We haven't heard anything as yet, so they might have given an error to the right fielder, Ken Griffey. 1-0. Maddox starting tonight at 311 has not had a home run yet this year. He's had 7 RBIs. Look out. Just about to pick somebody off in that Cincinnati bullpen as they get more action. You get a left-hander, that is Doug Capilla throwing down in the Cincinnati bullpen.
And he's another one that's struggling.
Pop tied to the right side. Danny Dreesen says he'll try it. And that is out number 2.
On Capilla, his earned run average is better than 14.
He's had a rough go at it. He's got a good arm, though, but just trying to get everything together. There you see the young left-hander.
It's Larry Shepard, I believe, sitting right there behind him watching it.
Now there's 2 gone to the veteran Tim McCarver. He has walked 3 times tonight and scored a run. 0-1 to Timmy. A couple of years ago, well, it was last year. Good fastball by Murray. He was thinking about hanging him up. And he was thinking about going up to the broadcast booth. But he hung around and got himself a little extra money in the playoffs for the Dodgers. He's right back again this year.
Everybody wants that job, dude.
Yeah.
Eventually, there will come a time when Mother Nature will prepare the sports announcers of the world for the perfect body. It's going to be shaped like an airplane seat.
That's right. 2-strike pitch. Did he go around? Yes, sir. There's Doug Harvey. So the Phillies are gone in the 5th inning. They pick up a run on 2 hits, no errors, and they leave 2. After 4.5, 8-0, Philadelphia.
Don Drysdale, while they are honing the infield here in Cincinnati, getting ready for the top of the 6th inning, let's go to Boston, Bob Euchre, and find out what's going on with the Red Sox and the Orioles.
And for all of you watching the Cincinnati-Philadelphia game, welcome to Fenway Park in Boston, where the Boston Red Sox lead the Baltimore Orioles by a score of 3-1. Red Sox got things going in the 3rd inning. Bernie Carbo reached on an error. He later scored on a fly ball by Remy, and then Jim Rice nailed one out here, his 6th home run of the year, to give Boston a 3-0 lead. The Orioles came back in the 4th inning with 1, and an error led to the scoring in the Oriole 4th inning. Larry Harlow scored the Baltimore run in the 4th. 3-1 Boston leads here in the 6th inning. The tying runs are on for Baltimore. Base hit by Smith here in the 6th inning. A walk to Harlow. And it's a full count on Ken Singleton. Singleton 1 for 2 in the game. The Boston bullpen is busy. Fouled again, first base side by Singleton.
Red Sox had Bob Stanley in the bullpen. Torres coasted through the first 3 innings, but walked a man in the 4th, another in the 5th. Starting to find his control of it here in the 6th as you look at Stanley heating up.
Three balls and 2 strikes on Ken Singleton. There's nobody out here in the Orioles 6th. There you see the stats on Kenny Singleton. And Torres walked him. So they're loaded up. Walk number 4 off Torres. So with Lee May coming on, we'll send you back to Don Drysdale in Cincinnati.
Well, back here at Riverfront Stadium, the hitter is Jim Morrison with a count of ball and 2 strikes as left-hander Doug Capilla has come on, and he is the 3rd Cincinnati pitcher tonight. The leadoff hitter Morrison, then Carlton, and then McBride. And we'll keep you abreast of what is happening at Fenway Park in Boston in that situation. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Here it is 8-0 Philadelphia.
This stocky left-hander has some heat. If he can just get that thing in the strike zone.
Well, I was talking to Ted Kluszewski prior to the game tonight, Keith, and he said there's no question about it. He says anytime that you get a man out there that can get it up there 90, 92 miles, 93 miles an hour, like Doug Capilla can, he says he's got a chance to pitch here for a while. What he's got to do is just throw some better strikes. The hitting coach and the great Cincinnati first baseman, Ted Kluszewski. In that Boston-Baltimore game, the Orioles scored a run as Lee May grounded into a double play. 2 outs for the men on 3rd at Fenway as they finally get the book on Steve Carlton. And Steve flies out to George Foster in left field. That is out number 2. So he's 3 for 4 tonight. And here's Bake McBride. McBride is 2 for 4 with a run scored and a stolen base. Young Doug Capilla, born in Honolulu, Hawaii. He's a 5'10", 175-pounder, 25 years of age. He was selected by the Giants in the 25th round of the free agent draft in June of 1970. There's a good breaking pitch by Capilla. Good curveball. Well, they've got a couple of Hawaiians here on this Cincinnati ball club. Mike Lum. There's another good one. And that is strike 3, and McBride is gone. The Phillies are gone in their 6th. No runs, no hits, no errors, and they leave nobody. And after 5.5, Philadelphia leads it by a score of 8-0. As we go to the last half of the 6th inning, it'll be Cesar Geronimo to lead it off. Rick Auerbach is out in the on-deck circle. He will hit for the pitcher, Doug Capilla. And then the top of the order, Pete Rose. That's Steve Carlton breezing right along, a 2-hit shutout to the Cincinnati 6th. That ball hit well. It'll go for extra bases to the corner. High off the wall and bouncing over, and the right fielder McBride taking that carom shot and stopping at second base is Cesar Geronimo with a double.
Vic looked like he was a little bit surprised when the ball ricocheted back to him, and he thought he was going to go up and stay in the seats for a ground rule double. It did bounce up against and over the wall. Now watch it go up over the line and hit the facade of the seats up there and come ricocheting back.
That was a ground rule double. It should have been. Here's Rick Auerbach. Auerbach hitting for the pitcher, Doug Capilla.
Larry Murray has ended the top of the 6th with a fly ball, or might have been Eddie Murray, for Baltimore, and it's 3-2. Boston leading Baltimore in the bottom of the 6th inning. That's at Fenway tonight.
And just correcting this, Auerbach is. They had the double switch in the lineup. He was at shortstop, so he will naturally stay in the ball game as the first baseman Hebner comes over, and he has a play. So Auerbach pops out. Concepcion is out of the lineup. George Anderson giving his shortstop a little rest.
Pete Rose still looking for number 3,000 in hits. When does he expect it to come? He answered the question this way prior to the game.
Well, I'm anticipating getting 4 more hits this week, and we got a couple days off, and I have to try to keep the edge because I have trouble with off days, and we're off tomorrow and we're off Thursday, and I hope I can get a couple hits tonight, and if I get a couple the first 2 times up, you never know. You know, I've had 4 hits in a lot of ball games, so I'm not totally throwing the idea out.
Well, the words of Pete Rose. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Bounced to third and bounced to second. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, I can think when this guy first came up to the Cincinnati Reds. There's a shortstop Boa to Hebner, and that is out number 2. And you just got to say that he has made himself into a self-made ball player, Keith. He has really come on. He's taken advantage of the capabilities that he has in this game of baseball, uses all the field, all the lines. And now in search of hit number 3,000. Ken Griffey is 0 for 1. He's walked and he's bounced to second. Geronimo at third. Philadelphia leading by a score of 8-0.
See all these impressive numbers come up versus Carlton. It hasn't been much tonight. 3 hits so far.
Well, he's given Cincinnati 3 hits, and he's had 3 of his own.
Well, if he stays and does the job for this game, it might be the sign that the Phillies are ready to run off a string. They're capable.
Boy, they sure are. They've got a powerhouse.
Of course, was it last week the Dodgers came in here to Riverfront and did a tap dance on Cincinnati too. Rattled them all over the place.
Then they went down to St. Louis and ran into a little bit of a buzzsaw in the Cardinals. shut out in their last 2 games, 1-0 and 4-0 under the new manager Kenny Boyer for St. Louis. And they got to hurry. Morrison to Hebner, and that is out number 3. Cincinnati is gone in the 6th inning. No runs, a hit, no errors, and they leave 1. And after 6 complete, Philadelphia leads Cincinnati 8-0. Now back here at Riverfront Stadium, it's Philadelphia on top, 8 runs, 10 hits, no errors. Cincinnati, no runs on but 3 hits. They've committed 2 miscues. I'm Don Drysdale with Keith Jackson as we get ready to go to the 7th inning of play. Keith, take it away.
Larry Bowa, Mike Schmidt, Greg Luzinski against the young left-hander Doug Capilla. The 3rd Cincinnati pitcher, Tom Seaver, still the man of record. 2 innings plus, 7 runs, 7 hits, struck out 2, walked 6, and left deep in despair. Headed for his 3rd loss without a victory, and Bowa hits it high in the air, sending Rick Auerbach well out into left field. Oh, my goodness! George Foster came right in behind him, and the ball drops between them. Auerbach apparently thought he heard George say, "I'll take it." Whatever it was, it didn't work, and it's a gimme double.
Now that's exactly what it is as you take another peek at it. Auerbach had it all the way. And for some reason, right at the last moment, Rick just shies away. He's there. All you got to do is stick the glove up. And he hears Foster, and there's no chance. One of those "I got it, you take it."
Yep, I don't think there was any conversation between them, though actually I thought, Don, it was Foster's ball all the way.
George could have handled it easily.
Mike Schmidt at the plate. Nobody out, and Bowa up at 2nd. Philadelphia with 8 runs in the bank already. Schmidt has walked 3 times and struck out looking. Raised in Dayton, Ohio, some 30 miles from Cincinnati. Used to come down and watch ball games at Old Crosley Field when he was in high school. Saw Johnny Bench get his first major league hit. He was chosen by the Phillies in 1972 after he'd graduated from Ohio University. 2 balls and no strikes on Mike. And Capilla hits the strike zone with his fastball to make it 2-1.
You know what could be really awesome as you sit here and watch the power and potential and the talent that they have on these 2 clubs if they still played at Old Crosley Field.
So they tear it up, knock the walls down. Hit on the ground sharply. Auerbach will go to 3rd on the lead runner. Got him. Bowa out at 3rd. Schmidt at 1st on the fielder's choice.
Well, you look at it again, the ball hit, and this is what you tell base runners not to do. Larry Bowa going to 3rd, but right now with a score 8-0, Danny Ozark, I'm sure, will just remind him he doesn't have to because Larry Bowa should know that. But they take the lead man. Now they're set for the double play with Luzinski.
And the bull takes outside. Ball 1 on a breaking pitch. Richie Hebner now to the on-deck circle. Big Greg has finished in the MVP voting in the National League 2nd twice to George Foster in 77 and to Morgan in 75, and that's a mile high. That thing's got to be frosty when it comes down, but it's handled in center by Geronimo. And that ain't no joke because it's headed for the 30s tonight in Southern Ohio.
A little breezy out there in center field, and with that wind blowing and the temperature the way it is, as you look at the final score, Pittsburgh over San Diego 7-4. Bibby over Fingers. Raleigh Fingers not having the best start that you'd want to see. Dave Winfield, his 6th home run of the year.
Hebner at the plate with 2 out.
But I was just saying, you look up that high and that long, and your eyes start to tear a little bit. Waiting for it.
That's right.
Waiting for it to come down.
1 ball, no strike. The pitch to Richie. Hits it on the ground to the right side, and Dreesen can't flag it. Griffey has to play in right. Base runner Schmidt goes to 3rd. It's a single for Hebner. That is his 3rd single of the night.
On that particular play, the second baseman, Junior Kennedy, started and fell down. And after that, there was no contest.
Gary Maddox will come to the plate for Philadelphia. September 15, announced today. Leon Spinks defends his heavyweight championship against Muhammad Ali, and you'll see it live here on ABC. That's September 15. So y'all come join us in September.
Good out there.
Roller to Kennedy. Throws him out, and the inning is over. So the Phillies threaten one more time. The 12 hits. They lead after 6.5, 8-0. There's the line score on the ball game as it stands, going to the top of the 8th inning for Philadelphia. Tim McCarver, Jim Morrison, Steve Carlton, and a new pitcher for Cincinnati. It'll be left-hander Dave Tomlin, who came over to Cincinnati from Texas. So we'll get a chance to see David for the second time this season, and the first pitch is burned in there for strike one. His record is 1-1, earned an average of 1.93 his 10th game. He's pitched 8 innings, and that one is a fair ball. Going into the Cincinnati bullpen, kicking down into the corner for Griffey. And McCarver going for 2, and avoid Timmy. Well, you go home and then name a stadium after him in Memphis. You'll carry the memories of 3 bases on balls and a double on Monday night against Cincinnati. Johnny Bench out to have a brief visit with the new pitcher Tomlin and Jim Morrison. He's at the plate for Philadelphia with Carlton now on deck. David Johnson unloaded for the Phillies yesterday. Pinch hit grand slam home run in an 11-4 win over San Diego. So Davy's on the bench if they need him. The pitch is high. The Phils got 5 in the first inning off Tom Seaver. Added single runs in the 2nd and 3rd, and again in the 5th for their 8 runs. Johnny Bench delivered Cincinnati's only mark on the scoreboard with a home run, his 5th of the year. It's 1-1. The Yankees lead Kansas City now in the 8th inning, 8-4. They've scored 4 runs in the 8th. In the 7th inning, I beg your pardon. Doug Bear has now gone to work in the Cincinnati bullpen. That's another young arm that, if he finds just the right place in the strike zone with his fastball, can be a big help to him. Came over here from Oakland. 2-1. The count now on Morrison. That's low. The 3,000 hit club, very prominent conversation piece around this part of the country. Those who have been there, and the man at the top, of course, is Ty Cobb, 4,191 base hits, as you saw the National League scores. And the base on balls issued by Tomlin to Morrison.
Keith, they've got that here on the message board, and I know there's a lot of people that don't know who the 12 are, but Pete Rose zeroing in on number 13. You've got Cobb on top with 4,191. Then comes Aaron with 3,771. Musial. And there you can take a peek at it yourself.
Musial owns the mark, I guess, that Pete really wants.
That's right. He thinks that he can catch Musial at 36-30.
Tomlin now pitches to Carlton. Bunch it hard. Tomlin boots it, goes to 3rd, too late. And Carlton's on at first on the fielder's choice. If Dave had been able to get the handle on the hard bunt cleanly, then he would have had Tim McCarver over at 3rd. But Tim just got in ahead of the throw.
Well, you wonder how Tomlin feels his position. He gets off there, not too agile, and then he drops it, picks it up, has no chance then to get McCarver after that. Timmy is right there, but if he fields the ball, as you say, cleanly, Keith, why, McCarver's out.
And now Tomlin has gotten himself in all kinds of trouble. Nobody out, bases loaded behind him, and here's at the top of the order, Bake McBride. Strike.
Back, huh?
Followed an error on the pitcher. Hit up the middle, and it drops for a base hit. Flag. The 1 run will score. McCarver from third, and that'll do it. And it's 9-1, Philadelphia.
Well, there's terms in this game of baseball, and one of them is called a laugher. And that's exactly what Philadelphia has going for them tonight. 9 runs on 14 hits.
With Morrison over at third. Still nobody out. Bounced up the middle, base hit. Auerbach couldn't come up with it. And that'll score 2 more as Morrison scores and Carlton canters home. And it's 11-1. McBride at second. Mike Schmidt coming to the plate now. Powerhouse of a guy. Broke a finger a year ago. Asked him earlier if he had to change some things.
A little bit, Keith. I try to find something positive in everything that can happen to me as an individual. Even an injury, I try and find a reason why and something that will help me in my career to get out of an injury. Last year I broke this finger on my hand, and I had to play with a cast on this finger for about 2.5 months, a pad on my bat, and I found out that I was going to have to choke up on the bat in order to have any kind of control of the bat. So I learned for about a 2.5-month period last year that you can get a lot of hits and hit a lot of balls out of the ballpark choked up on the bat and not swinging very hard at it. So as a result of that injury, I may have made myself a better hitter.
Okay, some pregame comments of Mike Schmidt at the plate. Larry Boa having singled. He's gone now to the dugout, and Harrelson has replaced him as a base runner at first base with McBride at second, Harrelson at first. Schmidt fouls it away. As Harrelson just come into the ball game. Bud Harrelson. Boy, he was happy to move down to Philadelphia. Knew full well, I think, probably that he wasn't going to get played that much at New York, and actually playing all the time as a regular. Bud had just struggled from one injury to another, and now having a chance to have a specific role with the Phillies, he's delighted with it. He'll go to shortstop in relief of Boa. An 11-1 ball game as Tomlin got himself in trouble as he gave a double to McCarver, walked Morrison, committed an error on Carlton. McBride singled. Boa singled. Now Mike Schmidt is up there with a 1-2 count. Threw that to the backstop. Strong fellow, Mike Schmidt. Fouled out of play.
That little average right there will make left-handed pitchers sit up and take notice.
Best not tell him. Doug Bear continues to throw in the pen for Cincinnati. We may see him before the night is done. Tomlin is the 4th Cincinnati pitcher. Gene Garber now has started to throw some in the Philadelphia bullpen. As Tomlin works and is fouled off upstairs again, out of play. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Here's Mr. Garber with his chin whiskers throwing down in the pen for Philadelphia. This Philadelphia bunch of Garber, McGraw, Ron Reed, and Brewster really been tough for Philadelphia. Schmidt bounces it back to Tomlin. He'll go to second. Get one over to first. Too late. They get the force on Harrelson coming down from first. That is the first out of the inning. Batter will be Jerry Martin. In playing left field, replacing Greg Luzinski.
Well, the Phillies really, at the start of the year, kind of getting off to a slow start. And you just kind of sit back and wonder, well, I wonder when all those gears are going to get in sync and when they start going. Look out.
Pitch is outside. Ball 1. McBride is now over at third for Philadelphia. Schmidt at first. Harrelson erased for the first out. 15 hits in the ball game for the Phillies. Strike.
Really, that Eastern Division of the National League, closer than just about any other division, American or National League. 2.5 games separating the top to the bottom.
That's low. Blocked by Johnny. Danny Ozark still awake. Danny could have had a nap the way this one's gone. Phillies have also stranded 13 base runners in the game. Outside. 3-1 now to Martin.
Well, this is one of the big things that we talked about at the offset, Keith. What everybody talks about when you mention the Cincinnati Reds, they talk about, can their pitching carry them? They've got the hitting, but what about the pitching?
Martin's aboard. So once again, the bases are full of Phillies. And Saturday, from Louisville, the Kentucky Derby live from Churchill Downs. It'll be the 104th running, and obviously it's the first jewel of the Triple Crown for thoroughbreds. Affirmed, Aladar meeting for the first time as 3-year-olds. Aladar out of the east and Affirmed out of the west. You'll see it at 5 Eastern time over most of these ABC stations. What happened to your thoroughbred breeding career, Bubba?
Well,
Strike.
I found out that the bad ones eat the same as a good one.
Richie Hefner up there at the plate with strike 1. Eat sometimes more. The freeloaders
right.
always eat more. High pop. Wind may get it and take it away, and it does. Into the seats. And it's 2 strikes on Richie Hebner. In tonight's game, Richie 3 singles, struck out looking and walked intentionally. Atlanta beat the Mets with Solomon getting the decision over Lockwood. National League final tonight. Honeymoon's over apparently for the Mets. Got off to an exciting start. Things have changed. 2-strike pitch. Beats it on the ground off his foot. Foul. Hebner's, yeah, he's the one who's got the holes cut in his shoe, isn't he? Got a bunion problem on one foot on the right side, and he's got a sore toe on the left foot as a result of a foul ball like that. So he's got holes in both shoes. And what does he do? He hammers another one right on top of that sore left foot.
That hurts.
Bless the fact he looks ragged with holes in his shoes. Good solid ball player. Pitch just outside. 1-2. I tell you, the Phillies are a fun bunch. You know, this point was made. They've got some characters, but they're loose and easy. But they're craftsmen at their trade.
Yes, they are.
They'll knock your head off too. It's like they're doing tonight to Cincinnati if you just let them get going on you. 2-2. "11 Phillies have walked in tonight's ball game. 11 bases on ball issued by the 4 Cincinnati pitchers. A 2-2 pitch to Richie Hebner. 3-2.
Now you put that together with the 15 base hits, and that's why we have a score like we have tonight, Keith. 11-1 Philadelphia.
Meg McBride at third. Martin. And Schmidt, and there's a bouncer to Auerbach. The throw over to first, not in time. Another run comes scattering over as McBride scores from third. So Hebner getting down the line in a hurry. Now you've got 2 out. Smith moving over to third base, and coming to the plate, Gary Maddox, the center fielder. And this is the second time in tonight's ball game that the Phillies have batted around in an inning.
Well, they did it at the very offset, right in the first inning, when they scored 5 runs on 4 hits.
Dave Tomlin will pitch now to Gary Maddox, who has singled, grounded out to second, popped out to first, and grounded out to second. That's a foul ball. Just foul. Just missed the bag at third.
Those are the kind of innings, Keith, that really give a manager ulcers when you score 5 runs on the 4 hits. Now, those averages, those numbers, those percentages are not supposed to be. And then in this inning, they've scored 4 runs on only 3 hits. And George Anderson, of course, his hair, that's about all he can do is laugh about it. There's nothing you can do about these games. You're going to get them every so often.
2-strike pitch to Maddox. Foul back to the wire. Stays alive. Well, you can wear a loss like this a little bit better when you go to bed than you can one of those 6-5ers or 8-7s that you kick away. Maddox hits a ball high up into left center, and Foster comes across from left field to make the catch, and the inning is over. So the Phillies get 3 more and lead 12-1. The game is exceeding my basic mathematics. They got 4 runs in the top of the 8th inning to make it a 12-1 ball game on 15 hits. And now we have Junior Kennedy, Cesar Geronimo, and Rick Auerbach scheduled at the plate for Cincinnati against Steve Carlton, who's sailing, looking for his 2nd win of the year. That's a high drive into right center field. It will go to the wall. Kennedy rounding second, and he'll hold there with a ringing double. I guess that's the hardest shot of the night outside of Johnny Bench's home run. So Junior Kennedy, who came to the ballpark tonight 0 for 13, struck out looking, hit into a double play, and then bingo. First one of the year. Jay Johnstone is in left field for Philadelphia, and Jerry Martin moves over to center field with Bud Harrelson playing shortstop, as we indicated he would. Here is Cesar Geronimo now in a 12-1 ball game. Carlton comes with a heat and gets the fastball on the corner for a strike. Beats it right back to the pitcher. Carlton holds the runner at second, throws to first, 1 out.
He just about threw that one away.
Yeah, he did. Rick Auerbach stands in now as New York beat Kansas City tonight 8-4, as Splittorff lost his 2nd game in a row. And Auerbach swings. This, and Rollie Eastwick suddenly shows up in the numbers in the American League. So New York knocking down an old nemesis tonight in Paul Splittorff. He won his first 4, and now he's lost 2 in a row. 2 strikes on Auerbach. 1 out, 1 on. Rick pulls it foul into the Philadelphia bullpen. Steve Carlton in his 14th season in the major leagues. Just misses the pet pitch, and it's 1-2. 7th year with the Phillies. He had 7 with St. Louis. 2 times a Cy Young Award winner. 4 times he's won 20 or more games. Swing and a miss, and he blew Auerbach down. Two out now, and Junior Kennedy still at second base with Pete Rose coming to the plate. They've collared him so far tonight. He is 0 for 3. Hits the ball hard to center. Martin goes back, makes the catch, and the inning is over. So Cincinnati gets a double to lead the inning and can't do anything with it. We'll be back with more baseball after this 90-second break from our local stations. The fifth pitcher of the night for Cincinnati is now on the mound. As you see the Lions score, Doug Baer, right-hander, who is making his 9th appearance. He's pitched 11 2/3 innings. He has no record. He has no earned run average because nobody has scored off of him yet. Brett Norman will be looking for his 4th win in a row for Cincinnati tomorrow night. Left-hander will be going against a tough customer in big right-hander Larry Christensen. But right now for Philadelphia, we have Tim McCarver, Jim Morrison, and the pitcher Carlton against Doug Baer, who throws very hard. Pitch was high, and here's the second pitch, and it's inside on the corner for strike one.
Well, Keith, you were talking about Doug Baer, and he has good stuff. He has good stuff as anybody on this Cincinnati staff, I think.
1-2 to McCarver. That's high. Doug Baer was in an indirect way part of the Vita Blue situation here in Cincinnati, and that it was Baer who finally came over for Dave Revering and Cash instead of Vita Blue. I tell you, he blew down Tim McCarver in a hurry, didn't he? That's one out. About Doug Baer, the catcher Johnny Bench had this comment before tonight's game.
Doug is mainly just a power pitcher. He goes with a real good fastball. He'll throw his curveball to the left-hander, slider to the right-handers. He hadn't been getting his slider over as much as we'd like to him, but he really is just a power pitcher. He's a one-inning pitcher, basically. He pitched 3 the other night for the first time, but he comes in, goes right after you with that fastball.
And he's going after Jim Morrison right now, and he's a little tight with it to make it 2 balls and no strikes. He has struck out 5 in the 11 2/3 innings he's worked. That's lifted to the right side. Griffey going to the wall for it, and it's beyond his reach in the seats. Barry Foote is on deck. And while we get the new baseball rubbed down, let's pause for 5 seconds. Back with more after our stations identify themselves.
KETV Channel 7, Omaha.
Morrison reaches out and pulls it to left field for a single. And that's hit number 16, the first off Baer.
Keith, you were talking about how these Cincinnati Reds and the fine attendance that they have tonight, 28,654, kind of braving this cool evening here.
But a lot of them have gone home.
Yes, oh yes they have. Well, you're talking about Vita Blue. Look at that. He's now 3-0, or 3-1, I should say.
The pitch to Barry Foote. Hitting for Carlton.
But their overall attendance here so far this year, 270,161. So they're off to another good start.
Fouled away. I guess Steve Carlton's entitled to take the rest of the night off, on with the 9th inning remaining.
Well, in a situation like this, why Danny Ozark certainly would have talked to Steve. He doesn't have anything outside of picking up a win. The shutout is not there for him to preserve. His bench's home run has taken care of that. But it could be the chilly night, and why take a chance of going out there if you're maybe stiffening up just a little bit? Go on, get out of here, get back in the warm clubhouse, and we'll bring somebody else in to take care of it.
There checks the runner, and the pitch is fouled away. So Foote hangs in at 2-2. We'll have the news for you just as soon as the game is over. We're having trouble squeezing these things in. We're getting a lot of runs scored. So hang on. We'll have the local news for you in just a few minutes. Philadelphia batting in the top of the 9th inning. With 1 out and 1 on, Morrison at first base, and Foote the batter. That's nubbed foul. He came from Montreal with Dan Warthen in 1977 in the trade that sent Twitchell, Wayne Twitchell, and Tim Blackwell over to the Expos. From Smithfield, North Carolina. Who else was from Smithfield, North Carolina? You know. Swing and a miss and strikes out.
I have no idea outside of Mr. and Mrs. Foote.
Ava Gardner. Comes the top of the order, Bake McBride. Bake has been up now, let's see, 2, 4, 6 times in the game tonight. Fastball bangs in high, ball 1.
Just sitting here watching Jerry Klein as we go through this. He's got more papers and notes.
Stack's bigger than he is. There's a strike. Bud Harrelson is in the on-deck circle for Philadelphia. Jim Morrison's on first base with 2 out. And Bake hitched and took it.
Well, what a big deal this was when they got Bake McBride from the St. Louis Cardinals. That just really solidified in their ball club.
2-1 pitch coming. Swing and a miss, 2-2. Fun to see Tony Taylor again. He looks just like he did 20 years ago.
He looks like he could go out there and play again.
Yes, doesn't he?
You know, I look at him, and we're talking about Veda Pinson coaching for the Seattle Mariners. Veda looks the same, great shape.
Struck him out. So Doug bears down. And with 1/2 inning to play, it's Phillies 12, Reds 1. Back with more after this word from a local station. On the mound for the Philadelphia Phillies to clean it up in the bottom of the 9th inning, Gene Garber, making his 8th appearance of the year, earned run average 2.25. He's pitched 8 innings, and he's part of that strong Philadelphia bullpen core as Ken Griffey lays it down, foul. At third base, George Foster on deck, John Bench to follow.
Now just sitting here and keeping the unofficial count of pitches, Keith, between Seaver, Murray, Capilla, Tomlin, and Bear. We've got a total of 200 in that group. Steve Carlton at 92.
No wonder we're running into local news time. 200 pitches. That's 292 pitches that have been thrown to the plate going into the bottom of the 9th inning. Good grief. 12-1 ball game. The Phillies. Ken Griffey steps out. Garber, those of you who have not seen him, be interested in his movement, turns his back on the batter and then swings it around. And when you've gone 0 for 6 in a ball game like this, you want to stand out of the batter's box and yell at him, "Look at me, confound it," when you throw it up here. Stroked right at Morrison for out number 1. George Foster will come on now. But this bullpen bunch that Philadelphia's got, Brewster, Garber, McGraw, and Reed, they're tough. Mike Lum has come out into the on-deck circle now for Cincinnati, and apparently is going to hit for Johnny Bench. Tom Seaver will be the loser. He'll be 0-3. And the first time in his career, Steve Carlton gets a decision over Seaver. He's very close to it. Ball is foul as it slides down into the right field corner off the bat of Foster.
Well, when you look at this overall ERA, the staff ERA of the Philadelphia Phillies, 2.76. That's awful good.
Right. And Pete Rose in tonight's ball game, collared 0 for 4. So he is still 4 base hits short of 3,000. They play the Phillies here on Wednesday. Off day tomorrow. Garber cleaning it up. for Steve Carlton. Pitches to Foster, and George fouls it away, and it's 2 strikes with 1 out and nobody on. And Barry Foote is now doing the catching for Philadelphia. Tim McCarver leaving when Steve Carlton did. Two-strike pitch. Foul again. Bottom of the 7th. It is now Red Sox 7 and Baltimore 4. Foster jumping out of the batter's box to have a look at it. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Well, took the wrong one. He's out of there. Foster out looking. Mike Lum comes to the plate. He's the other Hawaiian, native son of, on the Cincinnati roster. Mike in his 6th game for the season. He's yet to get a base hit in 1978. And the pitch is low. ABC's Monday Night Baseball, brought to you by Chevrolet. Like baseball, hot dogs, and apple pie, Chevrolet is an American favorite. There's a strike, 2 and 1. And by Texaco, who also brings you quality automotive products you can trust. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, nobody on, 12-1. The Phillies breaking through. Hadn't won here at Riverfront Stadium since 1976. Garber misses well outside. Dave Collins is out on deck. So Pete Rose is done for the night, and Pete will wind up 4 short of that 3,000 mark. And the count 3-2 to Mike Lum. Foote can't hold on to a little foul tip, and so Lum stays alive at 3-2. .330 down each line. 375 left and right. 404 center, and outside, ball 4. So Dave Collins will come to the plate. In the pitcher spot. Long way to go to get around to the top of that order again. I don't think we'll see need anymore. Swing and a foul at the plate. That bit Barry Foote a little bit on the foot. Dan Drysdale out on deck with 2 out. Lum at first base. Collins, 25 years of age. There are some, Don, who say this is the swiftest man in baseball, or one of the swiftest, and the swiftest on this particular roster.
Well, he can run. I've seen him do that.
Strike 3, and the ball game is over. So Garber gets Collins looking to end the game as the Phillies win it 12-1. Final score, Philadelphia Phillies 12, Cincinnati Reds 1. Be with us for a big weekend of sports coming up, highlighted by live coverage of the Kentucky Derby next weekend from Churchill Downs, Saturday at 5 Eastern Time. Travel arrangements made through, promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United built the largest airline of the free world around you. ABC's Monday Night Baseball, a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.